Inside at last.
Welcome, fellow Taffers, to Inside at Last, the one and only thief-dedicated podcast. My name is Alex, and today I am joined again by my fellow thief partners in crime, Nex and Psychosis. Welcome and hello.
Hey, all.
Hey, everybody.
Buddy, so after over a year, I looked it up. In November 2019 was the last time we talked about an original mission, which was First City. What was it? First City Bank and Trust.
Yeah.
So over a year later, we are already at mission 7, which is Blackmail. And before we jump into that, let's listen to the briefing.
It's time for a face-to-face chat with my old friend Sheriff Truart. Work out our differences. Show him the little piece of evidence that I lifted from the Mechanist. I'm sure he'll appreciate the consequences if this were to be made public. Truart was acting for somebody when his cronies ambushed me back at the crippled Burrick Inn. I bet he'll be happy to tell me who that was. It was cocktail night at Truart Estate, which meant I needed to wait until all the guests had cleared out. Truart has beefed up security since becoming sheriff, so breaking in may prove to be a little difficult. Hopefully some drunken guest left me an open door. By the time I find my way in, the sheriff will be fast asleep. I watched the last guest leave about an hour ago, and the servants are no doubt cleaning up while the rest of the house turns in for the night. Now to find my way over that wall.
So that's it. I think we have to start at eavesdropping, because here the story goes on and it comes to a new peak, I would say. So in eavesdropping, we overheard that conversation between Karras and Norman Truart, and then Karras recorded the conversation, and we wanted to use that to blackmail Truart. So we went into the bank, stole the record, and now we are in front of his house. And what are we going to do there?
Going to use said recording to blackmail him. It's the name of the mission. Because, as the briefing said, he definitely ambushed us because someone put him up to it. So we're going to find out who
right.
And why.
So that would maybe answer questions we already had in the mission 3, where you went into the police station, where we were thinking like, oh, who could it be? And then we made theories, and on the forums people discussed. So Truart should give us those answers. Should we talk about the ending already? I think everybody should know, right?
I think let's go step by step. But yeah, definitely the end will pose some questions and answer some questions, I should say. But I thought it at least for me, it creates a bunch more when we get there.
So we start in front of the huge building complex, and we are in a civil area at the start. There's like, I think 5 houses, if I'm remembering it correctly. And we can have a little fun there, steal some things. It's nothing too special, I think. It's a bit sad. This is an opportunity, very to basic. Put more city lore into it, because, they are living close to Truart, that could have been the opportunity into your mind, what's going on in the city. It's not happening there. It's actually a little playground. Or what would you say? How do you see that?
I mean, for me, it's like a little deja vu going back to the first mission, which is of course always imprinted in our brains, because every time you're like, okay, I'm gonna go play Thief again, you start with the mission 1, and the party's going on at Truard Estate, and it's the same old, maybe a drunken guest left me an open door thing. But just like in mission 1, where
game 1,
it
the
was
Thief one.
pretty much the same thing. No, mission 1, Thief 2.
Running
interference. Yeah. It's the similar thing. You're infiltrating an estate. You start outside of the estate.
Yeah, that's.
And again, there's not a lot of housing. Not a lot of. There's just one room. Here we have more, but I always thought the real focus went into the actual manor and the surroundings rather than this. This seems like a super linear. However, there are multiple ways of entering the estate, which I found nice. But I would say that most of us would enter through normal, and it's just take house by house, and it does seem a little bit generic.
It's almost depressing, if you think about it, because like in universe, Truard's there with his big gaudy mansion, and then they all have like little huts basically that are like 3 rooms. And I mean, it's more of a restriction of the times. Like they couldn't really create too complex geometry there. That I'm talking to developers, so they kind of just shove them in there, kind of haphazardly.
It's nice to have.
They're cute. Yeah, it's not a negative. At least it's better than the usual. Just plop you down on the mansion grounds and just like ignore everything outside the walls.
Yeah,
type
that's a
situation.
plus. I would say that, and as you said, with the limitations, of course, they did what they could. I think at that thing. But on the other hand, I'm thinking of missions like Life of the Party, where I think, okay, they were able to give you a huge city part and also that big tower, that Angel Watch. So, I don't know, maybe there's more details in certain things, but actually, I don't know. The mission is not full of details, in my opinion. But yeah, they had, and maybe it's the thing that we talked, or what we talked a lot about, like they created the areas first and then they came up with the story. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I liked it as back in the days.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I would say that the way that the manor is built, this one doesn't come close. But like you said, I like that that at least you're outside of the estate, because just getting into it,
has been done.
And
it's fun.
My question, because I think the normal way people would use today, without without jumping around and stacking invisibility potions, did you guys discover that secret passage at the end of that house area, like behind the bushes? Did you find that when you played it the first time on first playthrough?
No, the first time I played, I thought the only way up was to rope arrow on those ledges, and I was really annoyed because the camera kept seeing.
But you can turn it off.
Like you can. I think you had to go up top to turn off.
Maybe on hard. I don't know, but on normal there is just like those houses are dissected with gates. It's like which is really stupid. Like every little house has like a little area around it, and then there's a separate gate again, which is really loud. Imagine like you're sleeping there, and then your neighbor's coming home. Like he lives 3 houses next to you, and then he has to pass your house. And every time the gates go open, and then so. But at one beside one of those gates, there's a what is it?
Oh, the little door, right?
No, it's
I think.
No, there's just how do you call it? Next, can you give me a with the lever? There's a lever box. Electricity. And you can just activate it or deactivate it, and then the lights are off, I think, and the cameras.
Oh, yeah.
At least on normal. I don't know how it's on the other difficulties, actually.
It's the same on on here. To answer your first question, I did discover the thing, but I always bought the tip. The tip kind of explains that there is some secret way behind the bushes to get inside. However, the light switch that you're talking about, which I can't live without anymore to get inside, I did not, notice or use for I'd say the first 5 years at least of playing. And
Yeah.
without knowing that there's a light switch, and if you want to, go through without knocking out people, it's very stressful. It's a hard one to get across.
But you know what?
If the lights are still on.
Just play it right now on the other difficulty setting on the highest, and there it is. There's a guard next to it, and it's in a different position actually, which is interesting.
On expert, he patrols.
Yeah, and then there's another guard
in
the parcel behind it, but one thing, because there are things. No, I will come to that later, because there's one thing I can't get out of my head, and I'm wondering so much, and I really need the help of the community here, because I want to know. But we get to that later, because I just came up with another thing like that. Because out of my memory from back in the days, things are different today in that mission than when I played it the first time. But yeah, later.
Oh yeah.
Now that you mentioned the readable, I think I totally ignored it back in the days, because I remember that moment, because I found that, I think I spent 1 hour back at those houses, and then I found that bush, and I was like sneaking in there, and then I found that secret area, that hole in the wall, and I was so proud of myself with my 13 or 14-year-old me. You can imagine, I was like, wow, I'm Garrett. and then you walk through that. What is it? It seems like a little valley,
Hole.
And there's I also found that on my own back in the days. There is a little secret graveyard on the right, and there's already a freshly dug hole, a grave. And Garrett says like, "Oh, I have a bad feeling about this." And yeah, this already gives you a little hint of what's to come, but I didn't get it back in the day. So I know that.
Oh, neither did I. I know that, but I guess we can talk more about the secret objective behind the graveyard. But when it comes to the graveyard, I love that it's there. It's a lovely secret place. It's always been mesmerizing to me that the graveyard is in such a place, such an inaccessible place.
Actually, because it's official,
it's a little bit awkward.
It's like
even though that you have a chapel nearby.
His father or grandfather from Truart, and yeah, that's a bit strange. You would think that they have like a private mausoleum. I don't know what you say on English, but where rich people get buried in their family. What is it? Yeah, right. So that's a bit strange. But anyways, from the story or from what it hints to you, or could hint, is pretty clever. And it's not, it's not like thrown into your face. It's still a secret place you can find if you see that little gap in the rocks up there, and then you climb up and give it a try. And again, you feel like, yeah, damn it, best thief ever.
Yeah. However, yeah, I would agree. Probably it was placed there because of reasons like that. But I always thought that because there is a readable in the mission explaining that the chapel on the Truart estate has been built by Truart's father. So when he died, the thing was already there, and they have crypts below it. It is just like they should be buried in the crypts.
But the crypts are also very secret and hidden. So
That is true.
Is
and,
true.
and imagine, like, or maybe it's a ritual, like the chapel. There is there is a huge hammer, and no huge
In the wall.
hammer on the floor, and
Yeah,
a little
like the
hammer on the wall, and you have to
Yeah.
think of it. And again, I found that on my own. This mission made me so proud. I think that's why it's yeah, it's in my heart. And you shoot an arrow against that little hammer in the wall, and then the huge hammer moves, and then you can climb down to a little crypt. And yeah, but we will. Let's go on from the grave. Yes, of course.
Can I ask you guys a question? Since we came to the grave and we're slowly going into the Truard
Swimming, by the way.
estate. Yeah, how did you guys, for the majority of the time, enter the mansion? Was it always through the canal, or did it take long for you guys to? Because one could go through the
I was
main
always
gate.
going through the canal. Then I was hiding behind that well because there's a guard patrolling over the bridge. And then, and back in the days, again, my heart raced, And then, I knocked him out. What I've always found very interesting is that cave at the end of that little a stream where you swim through, and there's nothing there. I think it's a missed opportunity again. No secret or anything. But yeah, that was. Yeah, at the end, it's nothing special. It's just rocks, and you can climb it, but there's nothing there. I just looked it up, and even on the Taffers pages, there are no hidden secrets shown. But yeah, that's the usual way I would go. How's about you, Psychosis?
Yeah, I always swam through. I like I did a weird route when I just replayed it. I kind of like swam through the canal, which is like I assume that's the intended entranceway. And then I would mantle up and then make my way all the way back around the other side to like the front. And then with that tip that Nex was talking about, there's a hole that's kind of underneath the foundation of like the front porch that you could go in to get into the basement. It's like right by the front, like of the house.
And then
that's how I always enter the building.
So you would go through the canals and go over the walls and. Interesting.
Yeah, it was like the longest route, especially since there's like once you get up from the canal, there's like 2 doors right there that you could just enter. But I always assume they're like the most annoying to go through, whereas the basement's usually
they are,
safe.
but they were the routes I was taking. When you are at the house, and then I entered through the kitchen. Actually, I overheard the conversation, and then I sneaked in. But it's marble floor, so it's really annoying. But nowadays, I go right to the chapel. Then I go into the tombs, or it depends what I want to do or how I want to do things. Or when you enter the chapel, right on the left, there is a banner, a Hammerites banner, which you can cut with your sword, and then you come. There's just a door there, and you enter to a guest's room. This is one way, so you are sneakily suddenly in that house. But actually, I like getting buildings up from level to level. So I go down into the tomb, which we just described with a huge hammer, and I kill the haunt, of course, and then I go into that little tunnel, and you go into that torturing chamber. It actually is. And here is my question. I was just hinting at the beginning. I remember it perfectly out of my mind, and I'm wondering, how did it change from the original game to nowadays versions? I don't know. When you at the end of that little tunnel, there's that torturing thing with that woman, the dead woman on it. Back in my playthroughs, I know that the lady was a zombie. She was there, and she could see you, and she was trying to catch you. But I couldn't open the door. There was no button to open that door to get inside, but I could hit that button in the back that says, "Do not push this button." So if you hit it, the two spiders drop out of nowhere, which is really strange. But the zombie lady was living, so on half dead, whatever. But now she's lying there. And how did it change?
That's So I can explain that. So that is the 1.07 version of the game, which was like the very first round of releases of the game. So you must have got
I got it
Thief 2 day
on
one.
first week, I think.
Or-
And back in the days, of course, updating
yeah,
was
so
like just
I
over
think
PC Magazine CD-ROMs, you know.
yeah, see, so they updated the version that everyone has now is by default 1.18, which came out a little bit after launch. It was like you said, you get the DVD in the magazine, or you'd go on their website and download it. And that removed the zombie because people were complaining about the zombie down there. So they changed her to just being a dead lady
And
that
I
had a purse
thought
on her
maybe
belt.
that's, because of the newer patches, the Taffer patch or whatever. But I was wondering, like, why would they change a zombie? They all love that, Why would fans do that? Interesting. So I was playing on hardcore mode. You see, I was an original Garrett, and I was an OG. So so thanks for enlightening me there. Interesting.
Oh yeah. The
Lovely.
the 1.07 version of the game has a lot of quirky little differences, and it's very funny whenever someone because most people never experienced it because, like I said, it was like the first round of the the first shipment of the game, sort of, or I don't know the term for it, but everyone quickly patched up to 1.18. So, and then obviously if you get it on Steam or GOG now, like you don't even get 1.07. So like no one's even gonna experience that anymore, which is kind of like funny in a way. So,
How could one
you
experience
have a
that?
very limited experience.
How could one experience that?
I could hook you up.
Probably if you have.
I got the
installed
1.07
I
version.
just wanted to ask, like, aren't there speedrun versions that you guys do? Maybe you use that.
Well, for this mission, no, because one of the objectives is actually broken, sort of, on 1.07. So I think that's also a reason why they updated the mission. Yeah, that would help.
They're like, let the bug
By the
in,
way,
but
Alex.
kill the lady. But do you guys get that with the spiders? Yeah, how they drop
button,
out of
like,
nowhere, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of stupid, but I also just found it funny because, of course, when it says "do not push," I knew something was gonna happen, so I made a hard save. And the first time I pushed it and the spiders came, I almost jumped out of my seat because that was the last thing I was expecting, like a secret door to open and get some loot or something. Like I thought it was like trying to trick me
That's
into
really
not
like
pushing
so
it,
goofy. Like, do not push this button, and Next, what do you think about that?
I mean, it is. I never put a lot of thought into it because as soon as I did it once and I saw that there's spiders, never pressed it again. Never thought about it again. That whole room is, with the like you said, because I did experience the old version of it. I never liked the zombie and the button, and then you have the floor, which is sandy and creates a lot of sound. And
oh yeah, it's bad.
And all you get is I think there's a fire arrow, which is not
And
really
the lady
all that
has
useful.
a purse.
And there's a purse, yeah. So since for the last 10 years, you just go in and take the purse because for me it was always a question: do I go in there? Because you have to break some wood, and that always, because my heart was always racing whenever I would go into the crypt.
Yeah,
Heard the haunts there, and now I have to make a noise and do it fast while I
I was
hear
so
him in the back.
scared as a child
It's
because I
always
was
been,
too scared to kill him, but I wanted to get in there. So it really was like like a devil and an angel on my shoulder telling me, "Do it! No, I can't. It will kill me." but your curiosity was bigger. Because nowadays that's the way I go through that torturing chamber, and then I climb up the ladder, and then I go to the left stairs up when I also finally find myself back in the kitchen, but now in a very dark place, and it's very easy because two guards just pass right at that door. And you can just knock them out and throw them down the stairs.
Just knock them out.
And then you also can easily knock out the servant, the man. And you made 3 flies. And that's a good way. And then you can circle around a lot from there. Yeah, in German, I just thought the same when I said it. Like in Germany, we say like 2 flies with 1
stone.
Yeah, you say 2 birds with 1
stone.
stone, and we say
it's
2 flies with how do you call that thing for killing flies?
1 swatter.
2 fly swapper, yeah.
Swapper.
So we would say like
swatter,
2 flies with 1 swapper, and yeah. But I think that's out of life. But throwing stones at birds, I don't know. But I remember Stephen Russell also said it like in our discussion, like, and I was like, when he says it's nice, it makes sense,
By the way, Alex, you talked about the guest room that you can enter through church behind the banner. That must be something only for the easy setting, because on expert mode, the first door, if you would go from the church, is lock pickable, but the door, the room, you need
the
an
door
estate
to the room to the hallway is
Oh,
locked.
right.
Yeah.
I was wondering
And you need
because
the
I
estate
just
key.
replayed it today, and I was wondering like, wasn't there always something trying to block me from entering, and how stupid I always thought that it's so stupid, like you're so proud of finding that hidden entrance, and then it doesn't really give you a lot. But today I went from the other side so I already had the key to that door, so I didn't remember that I couldn't lockpick it. So but I was in that room and I was like, no way, something was odd and I didn't like it. Yeah, you're right. So it sucks actually.
And then what's even dumber to me is the same estate key unlocks the chest that's in the hallway.
Yeah.
That's in between the church and that little room. which doesn't make sense because it's the estate key, not a chest key.
Talking about that, keys making not sense. I think that the gears from the Hammerites also don't make sense, because imagine like you have to pass like 3 doors. You need to go to a certain point, and you need to pass 3 of those locks. So you always need 3 of those gears because they stay in there. Which is also pretty stupid. I think they did it for gameplay reasons. But yeah, I totally see your point with the key that opens the chest. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little funny thing. I was like, why does this open this? I'm like
be
fiddling with my lockpicks a couple times. I'm like, is there a key I'm missing? And then I just try the estate key, just on a whim, and then it's just like,
But what's inside that chest?
This is the same locks as every door in this building.
I mean, it's the estate box.
Yeah, what's inside there?
Yeah, that's true.
A key.
Some
100
loot.
Like 100 loot or something. Like that's it.
Yeah, I think a gem or something.
Like a piece of silver. Yeah.
And to be more annoying, the door that you can pick lock in that room will wake up the sleeping guest.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is, when I heard about glitching through doors, I immediately went there to try it out, and I was like, oh, now I can, but it turned out, you can't open the chest, and if you want to go through that way, you would have to glitch twice, just because, you know, one, you need the estate key, which you don't have, and the other one, you wake up the guy, which you don't want to wake up, and it's just a lose-lose situation. But one of the better ways to get into the mansion.
but actually, I think the decision to make that door not lockpickable is pretty stupid in the guest room, because as I said, you know, you're maybe really proud or you're happy that you found that secret area, and then the designers all block your progress through there, because that's you know, you want to have that feeling. You know, that's the feeling you get with Thief, like finding secrets and feeling good about it, that you did it. You know. And then strange today I don't know what's wrong with me, but decision, strange decision. But what do you think of the mansion in general?
I think it's very cleanly built. That's what you mean. Like, I think it you could see how a lot of fan missions, basically like a lot of Thief 2 sort of mansion heists fan missions, always like base their like aesthetic and stuff on this mission and then running interference. It's very, it was almost like nostalgic to like kind of experience like the origination of this, you know, like this and running interference are like the premiere, like, or the example of like a good
I think
mansion heist.
when you compare that, I think running interference is, I don't know, to me it is more appealing. Yeah,
I like it better.
It seems like out of one designer designed it, you know, or an architect, you know. Let's put it in the word of Thief. And this building here is like, I don't know. It has some nice place, of course. Like the room with the plants, you know, with that huge thing in the middle that goes up, you know, like where you can get some moss arrows, you know, and the plants are circled around at the walls.
Right.
That's cool.
Plants,
that's a nice room, and but in general, it's, I don't know. It's as you said, pretty clean and not with many highlights. Actually, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's looking back on it, it's like every room kind of felt the same almost. Like the game room's pretty cool. I like the game room a lot, especially because of the Benny
I think
conversation.
Every Benny conversation is famous.
Right.
I guess I have to disagree here with you guys. I do prefer Truart's mansion to running interference 100%. It just, I mean, perhaps like gameplay wise, might doesn't have many interesting points. I mean, even there I would disagree, but the whole mansion, it makes sense. Like the way you would enter and the things
kitchen and stuff, you know, in the ground floor, and
it makes, and there's a few guest rooms there. That's, you know, you let more intimate guests to the upper floors, right? The others sleep downstairs. Maybe the room, annoying room we talked about, maybe that's the master servant room, stuff like that. But you know, you enter and there's a nice little stair hallway thing going on, and you can go into the dining room. Actually, sorry, the ballroom, or you can go to the church later on. You have like a kitchen next to the dining room, and it's only not linear. It's like a shape of the 8. The pathing goes
right.
Even more if you count in the church. But I really liked it, especially the hallways connecting the floors. Those are like super atmospheric.
They have this, like, you know, like dead eye, you know, like you don't know what's around the corner really. And you mean those where the ones where at the end when we discover what just happened, the big plot twist when they run through it, like, and you hide behind that cone there, right?
Yeah, I mean, both of them.
But the one is like, right, and both, and they used that opportunity for both of those hallways where you have to hide, because at one is the guard, and he says like, that's like, oh, I hope I can find the light switch, you know, like, okay.
Right. That like, I feel like I'm just spoiled by like fan missions nowadays, because when he was like, oh, I'm gonna turn on the light switch, I was like half expecting him to walk up to the switch and then like do a little animation.
No,
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Nope." He just walks by it and
That's really
telepathically
funny
turns
because
it on.
today
I was like, "Oh."
I hid behind the right thing there, and I could just see that light switch, and yeah, it's like then but when now he's coming, like yeah, that's really funny, and you have to say that many fan missions did the effort to give it an animation, or things
Yeah,
like that.
no, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I'm spoiled,
and yeah.
By the way,
No, it's good.
sorry, go ahead.
Insert your thoughts. Insert
All right.
thoughts.
In the conversation, in the first hallway, right? The guy would say, "But and by the way, that's Benny's
Yeah.
friend. I think they mention him. Tell Benny I'm going for some snacks." That the other guard, the sober guard, tells him, don't forget to turn on the lights
Right.
this time. Don't trip in the dark. And if you would switch the lights to on before the conversation, he would just turn the lights off, and it goes through the dark. I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting.
I think this is like from the designer's perspective, when you play it for the first time, like you wouldn't do that. You would just like, oh, damn, I have to hide.
Right, yeah.
I think even back in the days where I was that scared little boy, I was running away through that hallway again and hiding way far away because I was always thinking like, that back in the days, I thought like the AI is way more intelligent. Yeah, right.
Maybe he can
Yeah, because I
smell
was.
me.
We totally forgot that. Next, how did you like the swimming?
Well, we can talk a little bit
Okay.
how I enter the mission. But I think that's more
Okay,
of a
because
topic for later on.
that's why I was, I was saying it. You have to swim, and that's. So yeah,
I got over that.
The main floor doesn't offer so much, in my opinion. But there's one note, and I was thinking maybe you guys have an answer to that. There's a note that mentions like that. I don't know. One person writes to another, and he says like, "I knew it that the alchemist shop is just a front shop, but there's something more behind it." So I wonder, like in one of the city missions, is there maybe an alchemist shop where you can discover that this is just a front shop, but there's something more in the back you can discover? Is that somewhere maybe built into the game?
I know what readable you're talking about. It's in like the servants' room, if I remember correctly. Like it on the map. I always thought that was just kind of like thrown
Okay.
in for like flavor, and because I don't particularly remember any like alchemist shop, at least in the base game, that that would correspond to that. I think it was just kind of like thrown in like, oh, let's make it seem like they have their own lives and they're worrying about petty stuff like we all do.
But I was wondering because sometimes the game does things like that. That it picks up things that were mentioned before. And
yeah, that's true.
But maybe the forums. But it's pretty quiet actually.
But that readable is interesting written. You see, because his argument that something is happening behind is based on the fact that when he went there, the store owner just closed the door in front of him, but he saw the people were still inside. It was always funny to me. Maybe it's just some, that lady that complains about Genevieve being missing, and you can see that she's totally annoying. It made me feel like maybe it's her husband. Nobody likes him, and they just close the door on him because they don't want to spend time with him. And he's like, "Yeah, something's happening behind." I mean, that has to be the reason. It can't be me, right?
Yeah, it lets you think. No, but I was just wondering, like when I read it, like, is there something I missed somewhere else? But yeah, but I think we had a lot of alchemist front shops in the fan missions later. So, that's actually a thing I totally love about those, open-ended things they just put into the original things missions. or games, that those things have been picked up by fan mission authors later, and gave it a new thing or some attention to that, and then you find it in the real game. That's yeah, it's a good thing. So then you second floor. That's where you where you can find Benny. And that's the
Having the time
as
of his
always.
life.
I really find that woman noise very annoying. But he what conversation is that again? What is he talking about?
So he's talking about, first of all, he says, I can't believe some Taffers spilled the meat all over the rug. And she's like, Benny, you spilled the meat all over the rug. And he's like, no, but you don't get it. People don't appreciate these nice things or something. And the conversation continues into, aren't you on duty, Benny? You shouldn't be drunk. And he goes, what does he say? I don't know it word by word, but it's something like, I work even better when I'm drunk because it makes me fearless. And it goes into explain how the situation would go. I would say to the bad guy, hey, bad guy, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And something about pointing the sword at him, but that's just one of the most more memorable. But it's funny how even Benny's not the only foolish guy, because that, I wonder what his name is, but the guy that's drunk in the first hallway conversation.
Yeah.
It's like
his friend or whatever.
I think that's
Close
what we
friend
had with Daniel Tron already. There are those really stupid guards and the angry ones. And that's what I said in the episode about stealth games in general, where I said why the AI of Thief, even if it's stupid, they are stupid, but they seem way more believable because you of course you want to find some explanation, why would they stop searching and go back to their post or whatever. And my explanation was because they are so goofy, you would say, okay, they are that stupid, or they are that angry and they don't care about what's going on, and that's why they act like that. This is some logical interpretation of what's going on and why is it like that. Not just for the limitations, but you try to find some explanation in the world. So yeah, and I think that's the reason why thief guards are more believable. In Splinter Cell, it's a very serious scenario, and the guards still act like that, and it's like, doesn't add up. Yeah, and I think that they just found, and I think that one time I read that they at one point in the development of Thief, they figured we have to make those guys stupid, from the characters. They can't just walk around, and that's the one thing I have problems in the dark mod, in many ways, because sometimes they just mumble a bit, but nothing really funny or stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, they seem more lifeless.
More real, actually. If you would be a guard, you wouldn't walk around talking to yourself all the time. Nobody's doing that. But those goofy...
You think that's why people look weird at me on the street?
Yes, that's why you go mountain biking in the forest. Like me, same.
I'm accepted there.
So that's why we do this podcast, so that we can do that, some hours, just put everything in we thought about.
So that we can mumble at others.
It's just always hiding in the dark. Damn it! When does he leave his post? No, but yeah, back to topic. Yeah, but still, again, on that floor, there's Can
we talk about entering that floor? That one was always slightly annoying because before I I found my ways of getting through there. I was always, the normal way. You get the bronze gear and you go to the second floor. And when you get to the second floor, I mean, sure, you can go into the big hallway with stairs, the first room of the mansion. If you enter as a guest, not as a Garrett.
Yeah, with the
Front
two. I
foyer.
think
So-
it has two stairs
so
on
you're
left
not
and right. It's like a circle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a big one, and it has a lot of guards in it. So clearly, you're not going through there. There's another door that's locked, and you unlock the other side with the gear, and then the only pathway that you have is through a guard. That's it's like a sentry post at the beginning of that level, and it was always annoying because it's how do you
You're talking about the
pass?
guard in that little room
Yeah,
that's like
but
overlooking the
behind
hallway.
that window, and where he doesn't
Yeah.
just where he sees 20 squares, 20
He never
square
turns around or
centimeters
anything.
of that
Yeah.
hallway. yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
It's weird to have a guard post in the middle of the house, because if a thief went that far, in my opinion, it's just
You already messed up.
you already
But
messed
yeah,
up.
but maybe it's unexpected, as maybe as it is for you as the player, as you just described it a bit. It's like, oh damn, security is still tight.
Yeah, that's
like,
how you get
no,
them.
I leave.
Well, there is that interesting that readable, right? That kind of talks about Druid upping the security. Maybe he's a little paranoid because
Oh, yeah.
he upped the whole
Yeah.
top floor with the Mechanist gears. So actually, it kind of makes sense then to have like a random just security checkpoint. It doesn't make it any better, but like in story, it it would make sense for him to be
Yeah.
that paranoid that
Yeah,
if he's
good point.
bothering to because he's a I think there's even a readable because we kind of brushed over it, the whole cathedral that he has. Well, calling it cathedral's generous, but a little chapel that he has built next to his house of which is the
that's-
Hammerite one. And
Yeah.
I think there's like even a readable from the Mechanist. It's like, hey, update that. This is
no,
blasphemous.
the readable starts very respectful.
Actually-
that it says like that I know that your
It does,
father built that. It's a generation, blah 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 blah. But times have changed, and and then it's like it's offensive that that's still there.
It is.
Yeah.
If I can have a little actually moment, but isn't the readable? Maybe I read it wrong, but how I understood the readable is that's a Hammerite priest that's speaking to him because he's concerned about
Tick Spring, and
It's
Tick
Tick
Spring
Spring,
is
yeah.
a mechanist.
I think he signs it
friend Tick Spring, right?
Yeah.
But he's connected with the family a long time, and it seems like he must have been okay. So if nothing else,
I think. But
he
the name
converted.
Tick Spring is such a typical, such a mechanist's name. That no, maybe you converted. That might be, but and I think the way he writes it, because he says like we moved on. So many mechanists have been Hammerites before, So and he seems like in high order, so high up the ranks. Because he's official, and so it might be, but still, if he converted and now he believes in the mechanical mechanist stuff, of course he would say it's offensive, that there's still this old symbols. That's a nice detail, yeah, and it's actually very interesting because I think this can give away a bit like that Truart isn't totally convinced about the mechanists. He just wants to use them. But he's still in heart maybe a Hammerite or yeah.
You're right. I'm just going through the readable. It is he definitely was a Hammerite when the chapel was built under Truart's father, but he did convert, and now he's calling for replacement of symbols. But this naming thing does raise an interesting point. Do you think mechanists are like, there's brother Stoneworth,
I just thought the same.
is considering
maybe.
And now he joins the mechanists, and they're like, welcome, gearhead. That's your new name.
Yeah, it's like when Italians or Europeans came to New York, like back in the days, and now they were named differently. No, I thought the same, and I think it has. It's a bit goofiness. I think they just added. I could imagine like one of the Looking Glass team, they were writing that, and then it's like, yeah, how do we name him? It's like, yeah, Tick Spring, but maybe before he was named, I don't know, Rockhard or whatever.
Metal Man, like
yeah, Metal Man, Mech Man.
Yeah,
and then it's not na. It's more like yeah, amazing. But I think the readables are nice details, and they make sense, especially this one. I really like that one because it, pays attention to something you realize maybe in the architecture, like, Truart is connected to the mechanist, but everything is Hammerite stuff. So, that's a nice detail. But what else is there to discover on that floor? Is there something really interesting? What I found a bit strange is that
there's
there's one room where's after the pool where you can find that one metal gear with the camera above, and then you go on, and on the left there's also a room where there's a camera inside, and there's like some hammers. That's what I found really interesting. Like, he has like, them shown, like they are showcased.
Yeah, he has like the
right,
gold hammer.
And so some hammer symbols he honors. But then there's the table with so many arrows. It's like, if the guard post doesn't make sense, that one doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the room with the secret in it, I think, right? Where if you shoot the target on the wall, it opens up to get even more ammo. Or I think it gives you a mine.
It's a gas mine.
Yeah, gas mine.
Well, logic aside, I like the fact that alongside, now that I didn't think before, but that room alongside with that letter of replacing, I think it shows that the world is sort of renouncing the Hammerite faith, and they're now going to Mechanist, because in that room the valuables displayed are Hammerite symbols, but it's all guarded by Mechanist security.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
So I feel like this mission is sort of showcasing the change.
But also, as I said, that it maybe shows that Truart isn't fully Mechanist supporters. He's just an opportunist.
I think probably right, because like the readable that Psychosis mentioned definitely shows that he's saying he's talking to somebody saying that many criminals have a vendetta against me, so it looks like you're right there that he's an opportunist, and he's taking advantage of Mechanists just because of his paranoia.
And I think the way he talks to Karas, is what he says in the eavesdropping is like he's not totally convinced what he's doing there. He's just delivering those dead people or imprisoned people for his own goods. Vagabonds, thieves. No, what was it? I don't know. Yeah, prostitutes. So, but in heart, it seems like he's not totally a Mechanist fan, which is very interesting. And still, and again, it doesn't point the finger on this, but it shows you with many ways, and you can make it up on your mind, I think.
Mm-hmm. I would say that the second floor definitely has its problems, with the starting problems that I mentioned earlier, and then the whole. I always found the bath area and the security station very tedious.
Yeah. You basically have to. So like the way it's built is there's the bath hall with the camera that basically covers the whole room, and it's lit, as very lit. So
But the switch.
you can't go in there. But then you find a note. Like, oh, I lost my my gear to the locking mechanism. Last time I saw it, I was swimming. So you're like, oh, that's the pool room.
Of course, it's Benny that does that.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, now I have to get in there. And it's like annoying. But then like
Was
right
it
next
really
to the
Benny?
letter is the room with the security switch. I don't remember.
Was it really Benny?
Sorry, what was the question? Well, the readable, it says, yeah, I can't find the gear that I had before
because
I
I
went swimming.
imagined him like,
And it's
like
signed Benny.
I think he's not supposed to swim in there. So
No, probably not.
yeah, so imagine
Probably
like
not.
this guy doesn't give a Taff. He's that's the reason. That's what we all love. Like those guys get fired everywhere. That's why they are the next mansion or whatever you visit. They're there again because they got a new job. Yeah, sorry for but the thought is so funny in my opinion. But yeah, but from the gameplay,
He's like, he's like, I'm banging and banging on the door, and they won't let me through. He was like stuck downstairs.
So the guy gets drunk, swims in the Lord's bathroom, loses the key.
No,
and
and then he gets more drunk.
Spills the mead.
That guy is amazing. Yeah, but as you said, Sekos, from the gameplay, it's a bit annoying. But on the other hand, the switch is not very far. But you have to discover it. What I did today when I just, I just ran through it to just cover some of the holes I had. That I went into the room I just described with the hammers and the camera inside and the arrows. And I didn't know about the switch anymore, that it was that close. So I just fired a fire arrow at it because I didn't care at that moment. I just wanted to check everything. And then Benny, he was still standing at the bar, and then they heard me. And I don't know. There's in the bar room, there is the woman, the bar lady. Then there's a child of Karas and Benny. And they came back, but Benny didn't. They looked for me, or they looked everywhere, but Benny didn't come back. I don't know where he went. Maybe he was pointing his sword at somebody, and
it's funny because even though they did their best to make him look drunk and everything, like if you still alert him, he'll be as potent as any other
can do that
guard
too.
there. Yeah. I mean, maybe he was right. When he's drunk, he strikes fear into the thief or whatever, the bad guy. Hey, bad guy.
You're not supposed to be here.
Awesome job by. Yeah.
Very threatening.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you find the switch, then it's pretty easy. But still, the marble floor is very annoying. But on normal, at that point, I had 5 invisibility potions.
Oh yeah, because you could buy them. Yeah, because you could buy.
And then
like
I found.
2, I think, on the.
Yeah, I found some
store,
somewhere, and
two more are in the mission for expert.
Yeah, I could buy okay. I have to put it in context. I cheated my money, so just to have everything, just to check, and be prepared. So yeah, that's why I had so many invisibility potions. Yeah, so it's not the fault of the game, really, because you couldn't afford all the available potions at the shop.
One thing comes to mind when talking about the second floor. Perhaps it was the loot goal that I, at least for my play style, always struggled to achieve. I mean, I could get it, but it would break one rule or the other. And this was so maybe it was because of that. But this mission was first one where I realized that there are big differences between normal and expert mode. In loot positioning,
there's even a secret that you
like
can only find on the 2 higher difficulties. Yeah.
And the secret in the second floor does change, even from expert to.
You mean the mine?
To the medium or
the gas mine, or?
No, the for the non-expert, you have to shoot the arrow in the game room, and for the expert, you have to shoot a water arrow at the mead that Benny spilled. So those one were. I mean, it's sort of that one sort of. Does it break the third wall? Because you're not actually hitting any switch. You're just cleaning up, and the game rewards you for cleaning. Yeah,
but there are spawning spiders,
charming
so
another way. Yeah,
don't think too hard on it,
Yeah, but that's what the podcast is about, dissect everything and talk about it. So ruin the game for you. Outside at last. No, yeah, but you're totally right. That's a bit strange. But on the other hand, it's funny,
I mean, I think the second floor is a little bit problematic, yeah. But just going into it with the first hallway, it kind of creates the mood that you're elevating from 0 to a little bit more threatening, and then to another one. It sort of guides you through those hallways, and I think that hallway experience kind of made me overlook some problems that second floor had.
Yeah, it's the hallways are almost like a transition, well, I mean literally, but like you could tell, like, oh man, like as soon as I get to the other side of this hallway, because it's the only hallway that's like dark, like it like there's like every other area is very well lit, and this one's just like pitch black, and then at the end of each one there's like a kind of important conversation, and like, okay, the stakes are getting a little bit higher now, because now I'm up another floor.
That's a nice observation, actually. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's one of the things that makes this mission I think this is one of my favorite one from T2, just because of things like that. It really.
That's very interesting, because we love open levels, but this one is like, put in more chapters.
It's a little bit more linear. Yeah,
and it changes the theme a bit, or it tells it's you just go up that curve, and then at the third floor, the big plot twist happens, and it's actually it's really, I never thought about this, but that's actually true.
It does introduce some things that were not shown to the player before, and I found those very.
Like what?
Well, the plot twist and the transitioning from one floor
to the
beginning, to the other.
It offers you kind of many ways. But the logical way is, of course, that secret behind the bushes. But then the way you could enter the building is, there are really many possibilities, to enter the main building, and then it's again is, as you said, more led by the designers, that they lead you through that. And It's a great design actually, with many different approaches in one level. It's like kind of you get
Yeah.
a little bit of everything there.
And I guess it's worth mentioning here that there's not a lot of readables in this mission. But however, there are a lot of voiced conversations, that do have the same effect that the readables have, I guess, in regards of passing the information to the player. But still, there are not a lot of them, right? And a lot of rooms are empty. But I feel like this mission does a lot with
Yes,
very little.
and I think you could see that this mission was important, for them, for this design, because of course this what happens there is this changes everything actually in the story. So this place feels important. The whole mission feels important, and they put. I have to take it back. I said like the second floor doesn't offer a lot, but we just talked about the second floor, I think, pretty long, and are still in it actually. And it actually offers a lot, and it's not so huge, but it has, every room has maybe a little detail, or every second room at least, but the whole dissection, I never thought about this. It's really amazing thought, and like the hallways that they traverse you, and cool.
It like we were comparing it to running interference. It's kind of interesting how like running interference had a more like linear beginning, and then you kind of like opened up once you got inside, and then beginning, like with regards to entering the mansion, and then it kind of got linear
Professor job today.
once you got inside. So and it's just, I don't know. I just find like the approaches to sort of like the gameplay, fascinating. And that's why I said earlier I find running interference better, but like I can see this as the more important mission, like in the story.
Running
And I
interference
still think it's a very
was
good mission,
totally dissected from the
for what it
main
does.
story. I think this was just the introduction.
Yeah, it's kind of like just there.
This was the tutorial mission again, the better tutorial in my opinion, because it actually put you in a real game surrounding, not just an artificial course. And running interference is the better tutorial than the keeper training in the first game. What I also like is the comparison of the buildings, that you can see, okay, Truart is way higher than the
All
mansion from
his neighbors.
Totally, but he's there's noble people and noble people, like he's someone very important. He has a very huge house, and compared to running interference house, what was the family name, by the way, by the running interference?
What was it again? It was
not the Bumblesons. I know that.
It is
Rumford Manor, right.
Rumford.
And Rumford is rich, but Truart is richer. What I also like is the detail that all his guards are actually bluecoats. And the mechanists. Is there a mechanist running around?
What, in Blackmail? No,
Oh,
there's no mechanists.
No, but they are.
But yeah. But like, they're all his own men,
women,
pretty much. Yeah.
Gender star.
Women,
yes. That's a cool detail, I think. Yeah.
I mean, when you brought up mechanists, there's a readable that explains how the mechanist door work, the one for the gears. And the guy that wrote that is the guy that we met in second mission, shipping and receiving. He's the mechanist inventor.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That orders the lenses in that mission, but yeah, that's the same guy.
See, they always try to tie it together, very.
Yeah, I
you
love
can
it.
see they
It's
had,
cute.
they were
Mm.
breathing that whole thing, and they totally worked on that. And I think when you read interviews or when, like in our episodes with the two original members, then you can see, they were all really in their brain there was thief, and that's really
Yeah.
cool. And like now over 20 years later, we are like, I'm like just discovering because of you guys, like, oh, yeah, right, the design of the mission is like that, it's amazing. So what I find a bit annoying, and I said that before with the gear, that you can only use it once on one lock, and you actually don't need the gear from the pool, I think. If you collect other gears, because but at one point I was opening a door with the gear, and this brings me back to the what we just described, like the main hall where you would enter as a guest. And this is
Mhm.
totally annoying,
Yeah,
because I
foyer.
saved there, and then I was like, oh damn, I need to open another lock, and or do I need another colored lock gear there? I don't know, but I thought like, damn, I wouldn't have needed to go into the pool if I wouldn't spend that gear on the lock to the main hall.
Maybe it's again an expert normal
All right.
thing, but I know that there are three colors of gears. There's the bronze, there's the
Yeah,
metal
normal.
one,
I
and there's
think
the
you just
silver
have
one.
silver.
And yeah, I think that only the pathway to the second hallway, it can only be opened by the silver gear that can be found in the bathroom
Okay.
Yeah.
pool area. Sorry, that's I think,
Men's
and I think it's
bathroom.
the only one. But there are other ways
Yes,
of
of
getting
course, but
there.
from first time playing, and you take, yeah.
The intended way, at least. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then when you enter the last main hall, I would say, or dissection hall, yeah, then you someone screams like murder. The sheriff has been murdered, and yeah, then you hide again, and then guards pass you away, and suddenly the heat raises, which was back in the days when you don't know
I mean,
what's going to happen, was so intense. Because you know, as the player, and Garrett of course comments it, like, okay, if they discover me now, of course they would assume it's me.
no, I was just here to
okay, go
rob.
on. Did
I just happened to
did
be
you see the
robbing
murder?
building.
No,
Yeah.
I was just robbing. No, but this is a very clever and intense moment. And you don't see that. You, as you said, with the grave, you could see that coming somehow, but you don't think that far. And actually, I would have loved to have a one-on-one interaction with Truart. That's the other side of the
Yeah.
medal, like because the whole mission you think like, oh, how will it be when you come up to Truart and then you present him the recording, and
Recording.
it's like,
Yeah.
of course now it's amazing as well, but the interaction was something I was looking for, and then it doesn't happen.
I always imagined it would be something like the hotel mission, the Shadows of the Metal,
Not
if you remember. There's a guy in his office, and you have to.
T2X in a long time.
But we'll talk about that some other time.
yeah.
But yeah, it
Wink, wink.
is wink wink. It is. I was also going in expecting, I mean, at least wondering how is this going to be done, and some, a bit of it from immersion side, and a bit of it from how is the game going to handle this, because I've, at most we followed characters, we never,
You never like straight up have a conversation in game.
Oh, you could say that
I mean, I
maybe
guess
you have a conversation
Hammerite
with Basta.
people.
Yeah,
Or
but nothing that with excitement, because we've
nothing like
I mean,
blackmailing
you know why?
someone, yeah.
yeah.
Because of course, you know that from so many fan missions. Like when you have an interaction with a in-game person, like let's take Calandra's Legacy, and every time, I'm so done with that animation when they give you something, they put it on the table, and this animation, like a real like a.
And it just
It
appears on
looks
the
like
table.
when a zombie tries to punch you, but slower, So, so like a really old person is like, and then out of magic, like the light switch you can you activate with your mind as a guard. Like they put it there. They already put back their arm, and then the key appears on the table, and you can grab it. So yeah, I think they knew why. But still, it would have been amazing, like to have I think it would have been really interesting, a conversation between Garrett and Truett.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they
just
yeah.
to
But
see
I
like
think
what
on
would
the
have
other
been,
hand, from engine point of view, they did the better job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And what they
No,
did still
totally
isn't
not.
bad.
But still,
It
it's
actually
like,
is.
of course,
Yeah.
you are amazed by the plot twist. It's amazing, But on the other hand, like
You're
75%
always like, oh,
of the mission,
shucks.
you are thinking of that. Oh, how will I, come up to Truett, and at that point, you don't know, is he my main enemy? Is it really Karis? And then you don't meet him in person. That's
Yeah, but it's interesting to think about it now. But if you would have been posed with deciding which one would you rather experience, would you go for the this plot twist, or would you go for actually blackmailing?
Yeah, it would. Now that's a complicated question because the story is written in stone now. So that's how things happen. So if that doesn't happen, I don't know. Then the story would have totally be different.
If
Mhm.
if it doesn't happen, maybe we don't get Trace the Courier. So it might be worth exploring that avenue.
Just for that one.
Just for that one reality where tracing the courier doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe.
right. They could have made another mission where Truett finally gets killed. So you could still not. Yeah, then I don't know. It's leave it up for your imagination. How do you like the last part?
But yeah, sorry.
So now everybody is in panic, and of course you as the player, when you first play that, you're just, whoa, damn it, you need to find out what happened. But of course you have the feeling like the guards are very aware now, and then yeah, the situation is tight. So yeah, it's stress.
I remember panicking
Yeah.
the first time I did it because the guards started running down the hallway, and I was like, "Oh no, they're gonna find the bodies," and it's gonna be even more annoying now. And I had to like, I think I flashed all three of them as they were coming. Like, this is years ago. I flashed all three.
Yeah,
of them
I
as they were
know
coming
that
down.
again. That I also did that, and what's really funny, I just discovered that today. They are running through, and then behind the one guard, he runs around the corner, and then he just walks normally again. And he would.
Yeah, I figured that out today too. Two of them like start walking.
Yeah, they
the other one just keeps running.
He's gone. He doesn't see
was
that we
great.
don't care. Let's grab some food from the kitchen.
Alex, I think you found the killer. Obviously, he has something.
One of them was a woman, wasn't it? Mostly.
Now I sound like the guy that couldn't get into Alchemist Shop.
Yeah, right. So let's rewrite the story.
Um,
everything after that is fake news. So.
You you asked if one of the guards that was running was Mosley, or something. Is that what you just asked?
Next, I think next just meant that
Scrumsby?
the I don't know, the guy who's still running or one of the two who don't care anymore for running.
Oh,
It's
two
that
of them
too.
don't care.
Yeah, two of them stopped
Yeah.
running.
Oh, okay. That is because I thought it was just if it was just one, then he's like just pretending.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, but maybe-
no, something.
But
Need
maybe
to
the
find the
guy who's
killer.
still running, he's the guy because that's why he's running and tries to leave the scene. Yeah.
He's trying to get out of there.
We don't know, but it's a stressful situation at that point, especially when you don't know the game as much as we do today. You are like, okay, now everybody is very full of tension and you can't do much here. And then you go. Finally, you come into inside his sleeping room. Yeah, and
Third floor.
then Truett is lying on the floor, and you can grab a bunch of keys.
Specifically, Lieutenant Mosley.
And this is something.
Actually, one more. Of course, we're now thinking who put the keys there, who murdered Truett. There's actually one more conversation as soon as you exit the second hallway. As soon as you hear Truett's been murdered, seal the area. They walk back. They run past you, and then you go up, and then there's the guard talking to other guards,
Isn't a woman
explaining
one is the woman,
what she saw
she's
when
a
she
woman,
entered
and she
the room.
said like I saw the. I think I saw a black figure passing or something like that, right?
And then you're like, oh no, I'm in all black.
She continues to refer to the killer as it, and it said that it couldn't be human. I think that's one of the phrases she uses because it was moving
Victoria.
too fast.
You're thinking Victoria
for a human. I was thinking, wow, this guard does not know about speed potions. Clearly,
who should know? They're lying all over the city.
I mean, we do get a fan-made explanation for that in Shadows of the Metal Age, but let's not spoil that one.
But one question
we talk about it.
I thought that you are now going like, okay, a very fast, dark figure that killed him. Maybe it was Victoria.
Yeah,
she's connected to Mosley.
I was going to come to that.
Going.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of that, but I think it's a very good
One theory I always had was that it was the homeless guy in the abandoned house, the one that has like all the cloth over the furniture.
Couldn't be.
Oh yeah,
because he has a knife next to him.
Yeah, but he was knocked out.
You know.
What?
No, he was sleeping.
Yeah, but not in my age. When I joined him, he couldn't do it. Yeah,
he looked very.
That's
pagan-y,
what I thought. Now that that we are in that theory that maybe it was Victoria. First of all, what you said, Psychos, like they talk about a black figure, and it's like, great, perfect. Who could that be?
Oh boy.
And, but a dark figure that could be Victoria, but. And very fast, maybe with her many plant arms, whatever she did. They should have said like, "Oh, there was a bush rolling out of the." but that there is a pagan spy in the city. Mostly like when pagans are among city people, they are spies. So maybe. He has to check out the area for Victoria.
Right, that homeless guy you're talking about. Or whatever.
Well, when it comes to the homeless guy, I'd say, I mean, you're a detective for seeing the blood on the knife. I just took the
Well, on the
candlestick and
floor.
ran.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the timeline doesn't work because if he had blood,
Oh,
if he had blood on the knife before, then it seems
Would've
like
had a
the
trail of
murder
blood.
must have
but
happened just
you
as you
don't know
came
how
up there.
long Truart is lying there. It's his private
That's
room.
fair.
Yeah, but the woman. Yeah, but the thing is that one of the guards saw it, right? So because she is explaining what she saw, right? So it could not be that she's like, this horrible thing happened, but I have to finish the game of cards. Then I'll
you're right. That
tell
doesn't
them what
make
happened.
sense. Or maybe it was a spawning spider. It was very fast, not
he must have
human-like.
pressed the button.
He pushed the do not push button.
human-like.
Yeah.
Maybe he had one of those buttons in his room as well. I don't know. No, but the Victoria theory
I mean-
is because it would make sense. She could escape, with her powers very easily.
True.
Yep,
And she would be very
she is
fast.
connected to Mosley, who's connected to the pagans. That's
However,
Isn't there like a readable in the mission, like complaining to Mosley that her pagan spies are kind of like not doing too well, like they're not really getting
exactly
great information.
I would have mentioned this now, but clearly. So yeah, there is this readable saying, Mosley, stop. Actually, Mosley, it's Officer Morgan.
Correct. My bad.
So it's not Mosley,
I
right?
think that's about
Yeah.
I think that's more about the Truart affairs. That readable? What if it's the same? What if you mean the same? I think that this has nothing to do with it mostly. I think that's just one of the guards on the lieutenants from Truart that should deliver people to him. I think that's how I understood it.
But it's just maybe Morgan's the last name. Maybe she's Mosley
No,
Morgan.
but in Thief Universe she
it's a
would
stretch,
call herself like Posley or something like that, like Norman Druitt.
True. I mean, but one theory there was that, clearly this Officer Morgan is paying the pagan snitches or pagan informants, and they're getting nothing. So there is another connection to the pagans, which I thought initially that only Mosley has this connection. So there is a pagan connection that could be connected to Mosley, and I was thinking maybe since this was a gathering of guests and clear message, Officer Morgan was present at this party, or maybe it's just that she's employed there. So I thought maybe Mosley was at the party as well, and maybe somebody stole the keys off Mosley to place them there.
Yeah.
Or would you say that maybe it was Mosley that killed him?
I'm not sure till today.
We don't know. Yeah, we can't say for sure, but all we know is we found her keys on his body, or well, next to his body, which is very convenient for us.
Let's say for let's explore this option, right? Let's say that it was Victoria. Why would Victoria kill Truart? And why? I think that's the easier one. And the other is, why would Victoria put Mosley's keychain there?
Totally right. Those are those moments where I imagine one of the listeners who's really, who has all the story parts and every clue together, and they like, oh guys, really, you do a thief podcast and you don't get the clue in 3 missions later, like. You know what I mean? I can imagine that somewhere in the game, those information we're just talking about, like they are somewhere maybe, and we just don't know about them. But that's nice because if we would know everything, there would be place for theories. So I'm
Sorry, guys. We're more of a don't push the button, guys.
do not push the play button. Yeah. Idiots appear out of nowhere. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's ever answered in the game. But it's very interesting, and no theory totally adds up. You know, no matter what you say, it could be this, but every theory there's
Indeed,
like a
yeah.
hook to it. Like,
Because
but look at this from that point of view. That's the same. We had that in the. I
And,
don't know if it was. I think it was in the mission 4 where Garrett gets home. And we discussed there a lot, like who. Yeah, it was that. Like who is in charge? Who was responsible for that? And
yeah,
And
because in a way, Victoria does make sense because Truard is killing the pagans, which I think Victoria does.
she is.
Does
a
she
pagan.
protect pagans?
She's the.
She is a pagan.
she's basically like their. Well, I mean, you learn this later on, but she's
Yeah.
their de facto leader,
Yeah,
pretty
but-
much.
Right. So
After the events of Thief 1.
so she would kill Truard, but she would not frame Mosley
You're right.
because Mosley's a
And-
friend of pagan.
So from that point of view, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I you know what? I think it's like fans totally do. We put so much thought into every detail, and the designers totally didn't think of that. They just were like, okay, Truard is murdered. Someone from that faction did it, maybe, but maybe not. But let's leave the key there to make it interesting and to get the story on, and. It's like with every like Star Wars and Star Trek,
Yeah.
people put so much thought into like, or like people do an interpretation of a picture, and maybe the artist just
Mhm.
draw, and maybe he listened to Avril Lavigne during that, and you know what, and he didn't put so many thoughts into that what people interpret later. So yeah.
I can imagine a level designer putting, saying, "Yo,
He was a
I
skater
modified
boy.
the mission. I
You know,
modified the mission, and I put the Truard's dead body there, but I accidentally dropped the keys there as well." And the lead designer is like, "You did what?"
But
Sorry,
at
sorry.
the very least, obviously it gives the player like a sort of cookie crumble. I forget the word here. Some breadcrumbs to follow. Like, oh,
Mhm.
Mosley somehow did something at least, or something involved with Mosley, which then makes the next mission make sense of
Yeah,
having to
sadly.
trace her. But sadly, yeah. But so from that point of view, it's pretty. It's good enough to get the key because it gives motivation to the player to be like, what did she do? Did she do anything? Is she also now being, is this like 44 layers of like intense chess that like I'm just not following? It's it's even funnier that there's a conversation after you get the keys. There's like a conversation in the room next to his with the guards, and like the female guard is like, oh, now Lieutenant Mosley will probably be put in charge, and now we could clean up our act. So now you're thinking, oh, maybe she actually just did it on purpose so
That
she could
was
get
a
the
theory
power,
we had back in the days as well, where we talked about that.
Yeah, like it's yeah, it's throwing a lot at you, and you're not, you're at this point you're just not
Hard to
sure
dissect,
what to
yeah.
believe
Right.
because it's kind of it gives enough to form theories, but it doesn't give enough to give an answer. So it's kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate.
So yeah, but it's very interesting and a very clever idea of the story writers. So yeah, but we don't know.
I mean, the last comment you guys did, I totally skipped on the last conversation that Psychosis mentioned right now. So it makes me think that, it could be Mosley, and she dropped it, or it could be some other faction that was against Truard, but they're also against Mosley, and they don't want Mosley to rise to power.
That's
So
another
they're-
thing. Or maybe if Mosley if she dropped it, did she drop it by accident or on purpose? You know, that's all.
You know, it's also just her keys, so she could have given it to someone, and then like on their way out they fumbled
Yeah.
it, you know, and they
Eh.
so now there's you know, like I said, there's a lot of possibilities, and that's
But
what makes it kind of an
we as
interesting
Garrett, we
twist.
actually save her ass if she didn't want to be blamed, because we grabbed the key, and so nobody finds that clue.
Now there's no evidence.
Yeah, you know, maybe this raises some discussion. It's very interesting.
hopefully,
Yeah,
I
because
would
like
definitely love
last
to
time we
hear more
discussed that,
about this.
I think it was it Geller? Yeah, I think, and it was interesting theories and interesting things they came up with. So yeah.
But just sorry to
Yeah. No
you know
problem.
interrupt again here. But I do want to say that I'm more of a guy that I want to know why this happened, like for sure, not to have
Loose
these
ends.
Breadcrumbs. Yeah.
possibilities. Yeah, but it definitely is better, like Psychosis mentioned, that you get not the definite answer, but these possibilities, and I love it even more. In retrospect, thinking about it, that none of the options that we have makes total sense.
And I think that's those are things like that make things interesting, even 20 years later. Because it doesn't give you the definitive answer, and I think that's a good thing. I also, that's what I liked. What it's not Interstellar, Inception. At the end, in the movie it says like, if that turning thing, if that doesn't stop turning and it doesn't fall, you're still dreaming. And at the end, it shows it really long and it doesn't fall, and so you don't know if what happened at the end was in reality or in a dream. And I like that. So yeah, sometimes answers are good, but sometimes I think it's the story still goes on, and things happen and they don't seem unbelievable, and so it's a cool thing. And you are just, that's the other thing, because you are in a game, you are not watching everything from the outside. You are inside, you are part of the whole story, you are a significant character in the story. Maybe not at this point, at this thing, but you were up to becoming an important figure in that whole plot. And now you still became that, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know what? The Victoria theory. She kind of, she wants to join forces with Garrett. Maybe she knows what he's up to, and that's why she did this. And then she takes Mosley to lead him to that ladder that will be picked up by the pagan. He leads,
I mean, honestly, I think you're onto something. I definitely like the Victoria idea, because it seems like the mention of it was inhuman. It seems like it's I don't know the word for it, but emphasized.
Yeah,
a little bit too much to be just
Yeah, but
on
the other hand, like that are many coincidences that happen after that until Victoria and Garrett meet. Like he hit by Mechanus, the pagan. That's why he lost the blood. Yeah.
In the next mission,
it's a bit much of coincidences. She hopes for, that they happen, so Garrett comes there. So, but yeah,
Mhm.
as we said, like every theory makes sense in one way, but then there's always one thing where you're like, yeah, but so it's let's leave that open for discussion. Or maybe we're just stupid and we didn't find one clue at another part. I would
Yeah,
go
maybe
with
we're
that.
just,
I would go with that.
or maybe we're gonna get, like you said, yeah,
or
that's the
or like
safe bet.
we'll just be disappointed and like it's a mundane answer like, oh, Victoria just sent some random pagan in
Yeah.
to kill him, and then like everything was just kind of
Yeah, when we
circumstantial
discussed
after
for
that
20 minutes.
because we just happened to be there that night.
Or maybe the Shadows of the Metal Age had it right, and it's something
Yes,
completely
but
different.
maybe, to quote Louis C.K. here, yeah, I don't know. But so, Lex, you wanted to
Yeah.
tell us what your way of discovering, or like how you jump over the mission today. But my first question is,
Sure.
you must have hated that you are pretty
Go
much forced on the normal way to swim.
Well, yes. I don't like going through water, especially when you're just about to rob this mansion, and now you have to go swimming. So that, do you dry yourself? I know I'm thinking too much into it, but when it comes to immersion, it sort of feels more natural.
Everywhere or whatever.
Yeah,
Drop
I
it.
mean, yeah, exactly. It's like the snow missions, right? Like especially the rooftop missions. You're leaving such a trail behind that they could definitely track you all the way to your home if you were to do that. But yeah, the water always bothered me, and it took some time, but eventually I did discover elevatoring, and that's the way that I do it now. I just elevator up to the first ledge and then drop down. Interesting thing here is that the when you go through the crack and where you can enter the graveyard, that whole side area, that one is, if you would check in Dromed, it's a room in itself. If you would elevator yourself upwards, you would hit the sky wall and you could not enter the Truid estate through there. So you would have to elevator yourself, somewhere near the crack and then drop down into the actual estate. Which again leads you to another problem, which is how do I now get, either to the crack to the basement or maybe to the church? Those are my two next ways to get in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for a little bit, you can traverse the gardens around it. I'd say gardens because it's just walls and then it's very barren outside. But let's say there are gardens. A thought comes to mind that if I was to redo a mission in the Thief 2, this would be one of them. I think this one could be made so beautiful. If imagine Truard's mansion upgraded with surrounding city
Like
a little bit
you're
around.
talking. Oh, you're talking like I think it was Supremacy's idea of like redoing
Yeah,
the OM like with the same
Amazing
objectives,
idea,
but
by the way.
just
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
I love it.
No, it
We
is
came
actually a
up
good
with the idea.
like
We
keeping the
we
same
together
objectives.
came up with the idea in the podcast. So, and you said, "Hey, that's actually a good idea."
But only because it is. It really is.
only
mean,
because I helped with it, Otherwise, it was going to be a bad idea. No.
Geki, Cletremus, and Firemake
yeah.
supported me there. So,
but yeah, I agree with with the. I mean, all the missions could always. I wouldn't say do it with a redo, but just like a little touching up. But yeah, this one, there's a lot left on the table that could definitely, have been improved. So
Yeah.
I agree with you there. It's one of those like, it's almost like they're at greatness, and it's just
Indeed.
like, damn.
It does have some weird problems, like we talked about the doors. but I'll get there shortly. Either way, so now we're in the gardens, right? And we're trying to get into the mansion. And for a bit, you can traverse the gardens easily without being directly in somebody's viewpoint. But then you come to the right side of the entrance, and there's no way to go around without knocking anybody out. So you can't really go to the roof because you'll be exposed by other guards. So the only way is to elevator up to the roof that covers the entrance. But the problem is that the roof is slippery and it's tilted. So you have to first of all, out of elevatoring is at least until you get good at it, it's quite annoying to do. And then you go into this roof where you cannot stop. You don't want to make any noise because it's tile. It's going to immediately exactly. So you have to if you crouch, you're going to fall down. So you have to stand up and go, a little bit forward, a little bit back, a little bit forward. So you're zigzagging across that silly roof. And then there's another problem because you don't want to lose any health. And then you come at the edge of that and you want to kind of descend down. So you have to go onto the window and then, elevator forward, which is even worse than elevating up. And then slowly you can jump down and kind of get into the church that way. And then I would enter by glitching through the two doors, which is another pain because they're both hard to get through. And on the second one, when you get to the other side, there's marble, and for some reason, these two doors are very prone to being hit by blackjack once you. I don't want to go too much of that, but I would then do the mansion in another silly order that let's not go too deep into it. But that's how I get past the water, and it just takes 3 flares and like 40 minutes of your time, and that's it. You're inside the mansion, and you're dry.
Amazing. I couldn't follow you. But yeah, I totally, as I always say, you're totally right with the theory or with the idea. Like, yeah, you're totally wet.
With the water.
That does make sense. And even back in the days when I was a child, I was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But spawning spiders.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk to you about is I know I was very surprised when I actually, it was so far ago I can't really say that I thought of it. Now I think I thought of it, but who knows what the truth is. But there is a way of, because I was always we talked before when the call, the alarm goes off, Jordan's been murdered, seal off the area. That was always, I don't want to be in such a risky situation. We all talked about how we panicked. And even if you played for the 4th time, you're like, yeah, it's getting serious now. There is a way, of course, by getting to Truard without having that alert go off.
You told me that once, and I tried.
And that's by...
that was my jump into...
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, it's...
You have to mantle the door. Yeah, it's
a
lot more annoying than you think it should be. Yeah.
But you don't really need any elevating. You just, for the listeners, just go to the second balcony, open the door, climb onto the door, and then climb, jump to the railing up there. And you won't have to go through... I mean, there's so many benefits. For one, you don't have to go swimming after Benny's gear. That's one. You don't have to spend a lot of time, and you can just go into game room, which is the fun part of the second floor, and then just go back to the balcony. And there you are. You could even go straight from the back area where the well is, and it leads you to the mansion. You could just there are these walls there, and you can rope arrow onto the wall, jump onto the second balcony. So you could finish the mission
I
without
really don't
going
like
through
that
any of the
well
hallways.
area because you mean that outside, next to the bridge where you yeah,
Like
and
behind,
because it's so
yeah.
empty. Like
It's very
there's that
barren.
well, and why do they need that well? They have that river. You know, you know, it's just that empty area, and then there's that perfectly shaped. Is it actually a brick wall or a stone wall? I think a brick wall even. Yeah, and it's
I
like
think it's brick wall.
really, you had all those stones available, and you couldn't do something more beautiful,
Yeah, all the like the exterior is pretty barren and stuff, but it makes the interior look a lot better.
I mean, well, I just wanted to say, it's there's a lot of barren places in this mission. The whole outside, very barren, and then you have look at the third floor. It seems like it's still being done. It's very
but
empty.
we know
very
how
barren.
they had
A lot of the
with
rooms
third
on
floors,
the second floor.
if you go back to mission 3. But back to your route.
Oh, yeah.
And what you can also see from the benefits when you do it like Next does it, you can see a guard walking over Truart's dead body all the time. He's just walking through it like.
And also, there's one of the
and he
guests.
just waits for his moment to be like, "Yeah, I found him,"
Yeah, I guess that way of playing also reveals the murderer.
It would be interesting if he is one of the guards that come down the stairs, but I don't think because he's too much behind. Yeah, well, maybe there's another theory we just opened.
Mm-hmm.
It was the guard the whole time.
It was Benny.
He's too drunk.
He works best when he's drunk. And maybe he came to Truart and said like, "Hey, bad guy."
Bad guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, speaking of Truart's room, again, you can see that the creators of Shadows of the Metal Age must have enjoyed this mission thoroughly, because they reuse this mission and they sort of explain in their own way who the actual murderer is. But also, there's a mission in Shadows of the Metal Age where you enter the brothel that's mentioned in the readable.
That Thief 2X is
in Truart's.
Yeah, please say Shadows of the Metal Age. What is that? But yeah, it's Thief 2X. For me, it's Thief 2X. So.
Oh, yeah. Thief 2X. Yeah. You want to talk about that letter?
The readable.
What the?
Norman
Druitt.
Norman Druitt.
We squeezed that joke so often, right? I can't recall the letter, what it says inside, actually. I just remember the name, I just look for the important stuff.
I actually have it open.
He wrote to you.
Yeah. You want to read it out?
Dear Valari, I think that's how you say her name. Prostitution in the city is a huge problem, and I plan on cleaning it up, so you should keep a low profile. I've taken measures to protect you that we discussed. I live a demanding life now that I'm the most important person in town, and meeting with you is my only means of relaxation. I do not consider you equal to the rest of the scum that lurk the streets, so I'm giving you special treatment as long as you take care of me when I need you. Norman Druitt. So he's he's been getting around with this
prostitutes.
Yes, he has.
Prostitute, vagabond. Yeah. I guess he holds her in very high regard, as he said.
I think he's just an opportunist.
Yeah,
because he can. Yeah,
literally.
And I think that is totally his character. you know, and they actually described this very well in the Thief 2X.
But I think that's his druid talking.
Yeah,
It's true.
but who knows? So it's
Very
It's like
hypocritical.
I assume he makes that name right in case someone finds the letter. They don't, you know, they don't see his actual name, but it's like
yeah.
Norman Druid. You know, it's like
Can't you see?
Lady
It's
Carrots.
a completely different person.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, man.
you know, Barrett. You know, that and you know what?
Garrett
Tick
with one
Spring is
T.
Victoria. Tick
like-
Vic, of course. Tick
Whoa.
Ticktoria.
Spring, like flowers?
You know, that makes
She's one of the mechanist leaders, actually.
Oh, yeah, I like that theory. Let's Yeah. So, is there anything
But yeah,
else we should discuss about this mission?
of course.
What
There's
what
the
else?
there's the secret
Oh, yes,
objective.
of course. You mentioned that before. Yes, yeah, we should talk about that definitely. Yes. So,
Oh,
please
right, yeah,
explain.
okay.
So, like we mentioned before, in the graveyard, there's already dug grave, and next to that freshly dug grave, we have tombstones of Truard's father. There's another thing, yeah, but we have his
I don't know if
family's
it's the
tombstones.
father.
I think
There.
it's mother. I think it's father,
It's
mother,
a senior
I
and
think
junior. It's two
his
times the
brother?
same name, but just a senior and junior, I would say. And the
Let's talk about that first. I always thought that, you know, that there's a mother, father, and then there's a junior. You know, so it could be Truard's grandfather and grandmother and his father, but it also could be Truard's mother, father, and his older brother.
It's his mother, father, brother.
The reason I don't think it. The reason I think it's his mother, father, and then his brother is the one for the junior is, I think, at least based on the tombstone, it's a smaller grave, so it might have been like his brother, you know, because if that was his father and his father was, you know, buried in a child-sized grave,
You know, back in the
that-
mid-age, you know, they
I'd be
didn't get
concerned.
very old, but they married early. So, I'm just
enough,
in game
you
and
know,
running to the
maybe
place,
props
so
to the man.
I could reread that.
I see what you mean, but I never connected that the child tombstone would say that it's a child. I thought that, you know, because of course this must have been Truard's older brother, because he has his father's name, and I thought Truard, being the scoundrel that he is, maybe he murdered his.
Damn, a lot of
brother.
theories from.
Just a lot of theories today.
Here lies Iblis Truard Senior, beloved husband and father. Then it's here lies Lita Truard, beloved wife and mother. And here lies Iblis Truard Jr., beloved son. Yeah, now it's the question. Is that... Yeah, it's an interesting theory. And that's why...
See, the fact that it only says
this
son
is hidden.
and not like father, you know, yeah.
Is that your theory, next? That's why the whole area is hidden? Because, you know, we
No, that was just, you know, I thought that him having his older brother, it could possibly be Truard that
But
killed
why?
him.
How do you...
I wouldn't know why.
That is like, you know, I don't know.
He's an opportunist.
But there's no sign.
Maybe he did it to get his father's fortune, you know?
Exactly. I mean, imagine how it was. Like, it's very Game of Thronesy, right? We are in the Victorian era. There's still some, you know,
Victorian
nobility
era,
and
right.
stuff like that. There's a lot of inheritance, you know, going on these days, and you know, usually the opportunists, the younger opportunist would kill their older brother to be the... because if this is not the mansion that Truard got or bought because he was in a great position. This is a mansion that it was passed down from father to son.
Mm-hmm. So something shady could happen. He is an opportunist.
Yeah.
So an
But
opportunity to.
Let's talk about that secret objective. What is it about? So, should I? Or you guys go on?
No, you tell
No,
it.
because I don't know what the objective at the end says. I just know that you can carry Truard's body to that already freshly dug grave, and then you get a secret objective hidden, checked, I think. And what does it say?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. What does it say? Because I didn't do it on my playthrough on accident.
Now I'm sad that I didn't get word to word quote, but it says, let me. It says something along the lines, "It's finally the time to bury the differences between you and Truard."
I like that humor, and it totally fits
Yeah.
how I imagine the creators.
Yeah. But that's another clue to not one that answers anything, just poses more questions. But apparently, it probably is the same guy that murders Truard already digs a grave.
And who is bound to the earth? Victoria.
It does.
And that's why she has a
Earth
perfectly
mages,
perfectly
of the Earth
square
mages just
grave
came in.
dug.
It's the
No, but what was his theory? What was your idea?
Thief 1.
No idea sprung to that. It's just another thing that's connected to the death that maybe somebody knows. Maybe this could give is it credence?
Yeah.
It could give credence to the Mosley theory. That maybe she killed him, but she felt so bad about it because it was her. I realized that I'm talking bullshit
Thank
I'm
you,
talking.
Thank you.
But
I have
it could be that she felt bad and thought I mean, he must die, but he definitely deserves a proper burial, right? So
you could imagine, like, maybe he's maybe not just a bad sheriff. Maybe he did some good things, and maybe she has some respect for him, and maybe she's divided, inside herself, and and maybe maybe
and maybe she thinks maybe his family is just gonna chuck him into the crypt. Who knows? He needs to lay with his father.
I can't wait for. I hope someone comments like, the answer is clearly stated."
Yeah.
Like, we're just like, oh,
and
well.
And then we're like,
like a bunch of
we
flat
just
earthers.
act like it. Of course, we know everything in detail, but it would be boring.
Yeah, we're just to us merely pretending,
So, anything else? No theories, please. I'm done with theories now.
I think we covered everything that I wanted.
That's the most important part.
Off the top of my head.
There's one more thing but this is really stretching it, is that we talk. I think conversation in this mission are really placed in a. They all serve their purpose. It's not just like something on the side. It everything there creates even more atmosphere.
And there's a lot
even
of them.
more. Exactly. We covered all of them except for the kitchen conversation.
Like when you enter the kitchen, there's the man and the woman, the servants. She's like, I think she is like the cook, and no, she's not.
She's a cleaner
because at the end she says something. They are both servants, and of course they complain. And I think one important thing is they say that some of the guests seem to be pretty shady because, like, I think he mentions it, like when he entered that one room, there was one of the guests and she looked very guilty, and he's very sure that she took some of the silverware. And so yeah, and then they agree that there are some shady characters, and they're not looking forward to another party from Truart. But yeah, luckily, wouldn't happen.
Yes, Sheriff definitely
Yeah,
holds some
she said
eccentric.
like, how do I put it? She says like eccentric. Yeah. And yeah, so this also shows that he seems to keep company with shady personalities, which, in my opinion, also adds to our theory that he's an opportunist. And I could imagine like every person that surrounds him has a purpose for him. And yeah, and they complain, and then he's like, yeah, the guy says like he has to go because he has to clean up the huge mess in the ballroom. And then of course you go there and there's like 2 cups that are lying there and a person. And like huge mess he has to clean up. And and he can't do it. He's running there, and then he sees it, and then he just goes back to the kitchen again, and then he's like, no, now I can do it, and then he's going back to the ballroom, and until I knock him out and send him into break and save his key for later. Yeah. And she is complaining, and this conversation should give you a hint, because she was supposed to clean up a mess somewhere else or do something somewhere else, but she couldn't get there because she doesn't have one of those new gears.
Keys,
and then he says, "Oh, maybe you should talk to a guard about this one." It's true.
It's funny because there are the 2 guards do patrol around there. One of them has the gear, and it's every now and again you'll have one of those. They have the conversation. I just don't have the gear, and the guard walks by with the gear,
but that's
says nothing.
About the timing. If you because the conversation of course starts when you are in or near the kitchen, and maybe the guard is at that moment maybe at a totally different spot. So yeah, and he's stupid or he doesn't care. So
yeah, I do have one more spiderish thing that happens, and it's there's a not secret in one of the fireplaces.
Yeah. You mean where?
Do you know which one?
Do you mean where you end up at the torturing chamber? Yeah. One question to that. Yeah, but it's obvious. That is a strange place. There's a fire arrow lying, and the fire, you can hear the fire, but because it's a trapdoor, there is no fire. There's just light but no animated fire. And that's really stupid. It's a really strange design decision because this trap doesn't add anything. Of course, when they designed it, there was a zombie in mind that is standing there, the lady. Yeah, but
but still, that's something that clearly there's a lever there, right? You know how villains have the trap doors, and really, Mr. Bond, are you sure you don't want to take a dive? And it clicks it, and then he drops. But in Truard's mansion, he's like, could you move inside that fireplace? I want to show you something. And then he drops them down into the torture chamber. It's very confused. That's probably where the spiders come from.
Yeah. You can do another theory there, but please then create your own podcast.
But yeah, it's definitely a silly.
So I would think, from my impression, I think we covered a lot of the mission. It's 2 hours, I think,
yeah.
a bit. Yeah, 2 hours we recorded. So one of the shorter episodes.
Well,
Yep.
if I can, I mean,
For sure.
to serve as sort of a closing statements. How do you guys rate this mission? Is it one of your favorites? It's where would you rank it in the Thief 2 OM universe?
It's definitely towards the upper half. I'm like off the top of my head, like I said, I think there's a couple of missions that I would rank higher than it, but it's definitely one of the better missions. Like I said, it's towards the upper half. And like I said a long time ago, when Thief 2 is good, it's really good, and I think this is like a really good mission.
Yeah.
For me, it's the favorite of the Thief 2. What about you,
Please
Alex?
explain why.
That's fair.
Like I said before, it just I love mansion break-ins much more than banks or serious places or factories. So that's one. It has the incredible plot twist, which I enjoy a lot. It's very nonlinear, and it allows because through the years my way of playing it changed more than other missions, and just because of that, it has sort of a replay value, if you will. And then you have the phasing of the mission through hallways. I enjoyed that, and I'm a big fan of not reading too much, but instead of that, listening the conversations to get the story.
And the
this
readables
mission had
are
all
easy
of those.
to read, but pretty short, and
Yeah, they use simple terms.
And, yeah, but
that
the
I can
readables are one
understand.
page, I think, in general, or not full one. Just
Yeah.
and we like that. We said that one time. Yeah, for me, of course, yeah. As Psychosis said, it's one of the upper missions in my rating. I know for me it has a very special place because back in the days, this was the mission. I talked a lot about it. I was scared here and there. The thief was really stressing me out. But at that mission, it's mission 7. I was more comfortable with the mechanics and everything. And of course, I was very proud, as I said at the beginning, that to discover things on my own. So I think that's why the mission is very special for me, and I totally remember it. And when I think of Thief 2, this is the first thing I think of. This is the mission. For me, it's not my favorite one, but in hindsight. But on the other hand, I think now since the podcast, I think way more about the missions in general of this game. And Thief 2 has a lot of missions I don't like, or filler missions and whatever. And this, of course, stands out. And yeah, it's very story focused. It's the huge story plot, or one of the first. I think it's the first really important plot, and this makes things rolling. Yeah. I think the placement is interesting because after the bank, which was really hard on the gameplay side, this is like, settling things a bit down.
Yeah, bank's
And
definitely
then
one
you
of the
have this
tougher
one. This is
missions.
still exciting, and they create a different excitement because of the story and the when the sheriff has been murdered and everybody is panicking, and you as a player are panicking, and yeah, that's a great moment, I think. And you have a lot of things to discover. They are not so important, but interesting. And yeah, I think it's a really cool basic mission that inspired for a lot of great fan missions.
Agreed.
So yeah, it's a very good role model mission. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has,
yeah.
if you think of it, it has so many elements that fan mission authors later, even exceeded. Like, we didn't talk about the torture room and its purpose and connecting to Truett. he has a torture room. You
Yeah, we just
know
kinda
what does it say
glossed
about him? I
over
don't
that.
want to go into that. I think we can all do it in our head, but that is something that
I have a theory, Alex.
yeah. So please, Insight at Next new podcast.
Nah, I'm just
Inside it
Uh,
next.
no, but that is here. It's just a little room, but other fan missions later they were built around that. Like I said, just in the last mission with episode with Nicked, where I said like this, there is no in Malazar's tower there is no secret room with the bloody chair and the torturing room and that totally discovers something. No, it's this has so many things that led to so many great things later for us as a longtime fans. Many ways to get into and little kind of town part before the main. Yeah. So that's my summary. I think I do the outro. So
Yeah.
It was big fun. I was looking to this so much, and it was great fun. And yeah, it enlightened me at least in many ways. And I'm really curious if some of you listeners would have to agree or disagree with our theories, or have your own theories, or maybe we're just stupid and you just send us a screenshot of a document that answers all our questions. So, guys, thanks for being part of this again. It was a pleasure, and thanks for listening, you Taffers. See you next time. I am not sure what will be the topic, but we will do late in February. We will do a contest review episode again about the 1 million units contest.
Oh yeah.
awesome.
Great submissions there. Honestly,
Looking forward.
That contest blew me away with how many good missions that actually put out.
I think we will discuss that. Yeah, there were great missions, yes, but they were limited. But let's talk about that in another episode. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next never says goodbye. I figured. Yeah, I think
Goodbye.
in
Goodbye, Storm.
Slovenia you don't say that. You just leave,
like the telephone conversation.
Yeah, you just hang up. Like, it's okay, my problem is solved.
Yeah.
Benny, I think you've had too much to drink. Aren't you supposed to be on duty?
So, what if I am, huh? Anyways, I work better when I'm drunk. It makes me fearless. If I see a bad guy, I'll just point my sword at him and say, "Hey, bad guy, you're not supposed to be here. Go home or I'll stick you with my sword till you go, ouch, I'm dead." See? Ain't no one gonna be messing with old Benny.